On this edition of Inside Indiana Business, major mojo in Vigo County, a new $25 million convention center, a big-name casino in the works, and a huge facelift for the arena Larry Bird put on the map. More on Terre Haute's transformation. Plus,
Carbon Limit is reversing climate change through concrete.
How the Heritage Group is creating Indiana's tech entrepreneurs of tomorrow. And engineers at Rolls-Royce making short takeoff and vertical landings like this possible. Find out why the company's doubling down on its Hoosier operations. It's all next on Inside Indiana Business.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gerry Dick. Well, downtown Terre Haute is undergoing a transformation from hotels to art and museums and new dining experiences. And this weekend, the opening of a new $25 million convention center. It is estimated the center, along with a planned casino, could bring some 1.5 million new visitors to Terre Haute every year. With more on some of the major moves in the heart of the Wabash Valley, pleased to welcome back to the show Terre Haute Mayor Duke Bennett, who joins us from inside the convention center. And Mayor, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here, Gerry.
Yeah, hey, well, give us a sense of where you are. Brand new convention center opens officially this weekend. I know Wabash Avenue is just off to your left. Where are you at there in the convention center?
So out in the pre-function space, if you will, right outside of the ballroom. So faces Wabash Avenue with, of course, big windows out here to bring the natural light in, and just kind of an area that you connect to the hotel, the Hilton Garden Inn next door, along the front here. And then you'll be able to walk right into the ballrooms or continue on down the hall and go into the meeting rooms.
Mayor, tell us, because I know this concept anyway, really I think began to be talked about maybe 8 years ago or so. So it's been a long time coming. Talk about the need for this and the debate in the community over the convention center and why it's needed.
You know, as we kind of looked at what Terre Haute did have and didn't have, as you kind of go through those self-evaluations, we knew that we were lacking convention space, generally speaking. The Holiday Inn here had convention space that was really all there was for many years. They remodeled, got rid of it, and we knew we had to do something to have a place for people to gather. And so as we worked, it kind of started out working with ISU a little bit when it related to the Holman Center remodeling project, and it ended up being a separate building right across the street from there. But we knew that we needed to come together as a community and find a way to create this space. And so it's been a long process, starting back in 2014, and here we are today with the finished product.
Yeah, we'll talk about the renovation at Holman Center because that was substantial. And from so many people have told me it was really well done. How does that fit into this whole equation and being in close proximity to the convention center?
Yeah, you know, it was time for an upgrade, obviously, and that's what ISU had been working on several years to get to that point to pay for that major remodel. It looks great today. I mean, it's really a phenomenal facility. They spent over $50 million on that. And then the convention center, we new parking garage kind of in between us, and then the convention center on Wabash, so one block away. They complement each other very well. So, you know, obviously sporting events and graduations and things that draw very, very large crowds, up to 10,000 people can utilize the Holman Center. Yet here at the convention center, we're set up to do, you know, dinners and conventions and local events these two will really work well together.
And so many communities around the state are trying to find that next big thing, trying to find their place. As you look at what's going on in Terre Haute with the convention center, Holman Center, planned casino, I know that's not broken ground yet, but big plans there, and some of the improvements on Wabash Avenue. Give us your assessment of where Terre Haute is in that next phase, if you will.
We've absolutely come a long way. You know, it's pretty competitive out there. We all know that. You talk to other mayors in the state. I know you do all the time. We all have to do something as the state of Indiana to make ourselves stand out and be a place where people want to come to work or play or whatever it may be. And so as part of our community plan, we've really focused on the tourism aspect. And so this not only helps us to accomplish those goals, Obviously, Home and Center brings more people. The casino brings more people. We're a regional destination, but we've not had some of the amenities that we have. So I think we've taken ourselves to another level with these new features that we can offer the public. And that's going to make us stand out. And hopefully then will lead to more economic development activity down the road.
Yeah, give us your the latest on the casino, because I know it's had some ups and downs, but seems to be pointed in a positive direction. When do you anticipate perhaps ground being broken for that project?
The last I've heard from Churchill Downs was the end of May, 1st of June. They're still going through some permitting processes and some red tape kind of things that you would expect. But every time that we hit one of those milestones, it goes just like we'd hoped it would. We're kind of working on some road improvements and planning down there, since the casino's in a little different spot than we originally thought it was going to be. And so those things are underway, and we'll have that lined up so that when the casino opens late next year, we'll be ready to go.
Terre Haute Mayor Duke Bennett, really appreciate you joining us on what is a very big weekend coming up here in Terre Haute with the grand opening of a new $25 million convention center. Lots of other projects going on as well. Mayor, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, well, we're raising a toast this week to Indiana's oldest and largest wine producer. That's on the next Business and Beyond podcast. And my guest this week, well, the woman in charge at Oliver Winery, Julie Adams. Adams took over for co-founder Bill Oliver as CEO last year after New York-based Next Phase bought the company. Oliver has grown from a hobby that started in Bill Oliver's dad's basement to a powerhouse in the wine industry. It is now the 29th largest winery in the U.S. and has more than doubled in size the past 2 years, thanks in large part to the popularity of Oliver's line of sweet wines.
And the sweeter style wines have, in some regards, been not so much today, but as of 8 to 10 years ago, were more ignored by some of the larger players. And we really sought to embrace the folks that enjoy those wines.
Much more with Oliver Winery CEO Julie Adams. That's on the next edition of the Business and Beyond podcast. To check it out, just go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com and click on the subscribe tab. Well, future entrepreneurs going on a deep dive to bring their products to market. Learn more about the immersive 3-month program at the Heritage Group in Indianapolis that is pumping out new startups. Plus, the IBJ Life Sciences Power Panel is right around the corner. Friday, April 29 at the Westin in downtown Indianapolis. It is a chance to engage with a panel of experts as they talk about promising science, technology, talent in Central Indiana's life sciences industry. Go to ibj.com/events to register.
Generation family-owned business based in Indianapolis and founded more than 90 years ago. The Heritage Group manages more than 30 companies across the globe.
As we go inside innovation now, the company is once again using its innovation hub in Indianapolis to help mold that next generation of tech entrepreneurs. Since its launch in 2019, more than 25 pilot projects have been completed, and accelerator companies who've come from all over the world really have raised more than $25 million in subsequent funding. With more on the 4th cohort of the Heritage Group Accelerator, pleased to be joined by Managing Director Nida Ansari. And Nida, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and welcome to Indianapolis. I know you just moved here 7 months ago, so
yeah.
we're glad to have you. And as we start, the Heritage Group, I think, is one of the amazing stories in Indiana. Give us just a thumbnail of what the Heritage Group is really all about.
You know, I've been here 7 months and I'm still learning more about it every day. But in short, it's a privately owned company, been around for 4 generations. We're on our fourth generation CEO. Mm-hmm. We have over 30 operating companies, and each of them is in a bunch of verticals that are really interesting, but it's really rich Indiana history, I think. Rich
Indiana history and really impact on the economy around the globe in so many ways. Okay, the accelerator.
Yes.
At Heritage Group. You're taking applications for your 4th cohort now.
Yeah.
Talk about the accelerator and why it started and what it's all about.
Yeah, so the Heritage Group has participated in the startup ecosystem for about 4 years. This is actually our 5th year for the ventures, 4th year for the accelerator. And we take in companies, a cohort of 10 every fall, and they're all in the hard tech space, also SaaS reporting into hard tech, and it's been great for the ecosystem. We've spun out 5 companies that have now moved to Indiana as a result.
Wow,
Yep.
That's impact. And what happens there? It's a 13-week, it's really an immersive kind of experience.
Right.
So you get these applications, as I mentioned, from all over the country, really all over the world, to come here. What do they experience when they get to the Heritage Group Accelerator?
Yeah, so each of their experiences is a little bit customized because they come in at different points. They're all generally early stage, but we'll take them through everything from the basics of fundraising, customer discovery, interacting with their ecosystems, how to build traction, how to pitch to investors. Yeah. And really the idea is to make them investable at the end of it.
Yeah. So as we were talking off camera, you said you kind of bring them in and kind of speed them up and,
Yes.
and get them on their way to really advance and get to that next level and beyond.
Yeah. So the goal is momentum, right? So we bring them in. It's immersive, in person, 13 weeks, and they spin out, and they go on to do many different things. They can either go after pipelines of customers that we've built out for them, or go after lists of investors.
Yeah, and the impact too. Obviously the impact on these companies, but the impact on Indianapolis and on Indiana. You mentioned companies moving here.
That's right.
The exposure that these entrepreneurs have to Indianapolis and Indiana for the first time. There's the impact on talent too, potentially, I would think.
Absolutely, yeah. So many more than the 5 companies that have moved here have advisors and board members that are in the state. So they continue to have threads that lead them back here beyond the accelerator. And the hope is, that they end up hiring here or they end up moving here.
Very good. The Heritage Group Accelerator seeking applications for that 4th cohort. I know you, Nita, you say they typically get maybe 80 applications, so it's a really robust program. Nita, I'm sorry. Really appreciate you being here and look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, up next, a return visit to Indiana coal country. In Greene County, where we've showed you how a Fishers-based company is turning an old coal mine into a distillery. But there's much more to that story. Our Mary Rachel Redmond will have details around Indiana. Here's what's making news now around Indiana. We've been telling you for some time now about an old coal mine in southern Indiana being transformed into a craft distillery. There's more to that story. And with that, our Mary Rachel Redmond joins us. Mary Rachel?
That is absolutely right. So last week we told you they're going to be bellying up to the bar at an old coal mine, but there's a lot more to this than just sipping a few adult beverages. Fishers-based Land Betterment Corp is turning this defunct coal mine into a distillery. I had boots on the ground about a year ago, and last week I got a chance to catch up with the brains behind the whole operation, and they tell me I wouldn't even recognize the place. All of that dirty coal refuse completely gone. And the land, well, that's been completely flattened, and all of the heavy-duty equipment you see is all on its way out as we speak. Now it's on to the next phase, the launch of a revolutionary new product called the Land Betterment Exchange.
We're actually helping drive capital back into these rural distressed areas by providing a true carbon offset. Where most carbon offsets today are big companies like Microsoft and Facebook and all these big tech companies that are consuming a ton of energy, and to offset their carbon, they have to buy a carbon offset. They have to either pay people not to cut down trees or pay people over. And typically this is done in Malaysia and all these foreign countries that there's no auditability to them. And so what our passion is at Land Betterment is to drive that capital back into rural distressed America. And I mean, you go into these areas of fossil fuel related industries that have been shut down and start bringing that capital of Microsoft and Facebook and these companies, get them to invest in America, get them to invest back into buying carbon offsets that are provided to the US that have good auditability, that are truly benefiting the environment, because we're not paying you not to cut down our trees. They're actually paying us to plant trees and also reclaim these environments. And obviously this project is to plant an apple orchard is our passion and our goal, which will help offset the environment. It's providing a true carbon offset that people can see and touch and feel here in America.
And touch and feel in Jasonville. Not only is this former coal mine going to feature farm-to-table spirits, it will eventually be a destination place with everything from an apple orchard to a honey farm. So,
all right,
exciting stuff.
When does it open up?
They're thinking next spring.
Okay.
So not too far away.
Yeah, a big transformation. What else you have going on around Indiana?
Well, let's start in West Lafayette. Ag tech company Solinfitech is using new technology to scan and monitor farm fields with hopes of commercializing the robot technology sometime next year. The robot is solar powered and has the ability to run nonstop. Not a LaPorte, where construction is in the final stages of the new $30 million residential complex. Officials in LaPorte say the banks will help the city reach its goal of increasing its population by about 8,000 by 2030. Now, Fort Wayne-based Sortera Alloys says it will be ready to advance from pilot stage to commercial operations by this summer. The metal recycling company uses artificial intelligence and machine learning data analytics to help sort scrap in search of high-quality metals. Sortera operates from a 10-acre facility in Fort Wayne and says its recycled products can be used in the automotive, aerospace, and consumer packaging industries. Gerry?
All right, great look around Indiana and a great update from Southern Indiana.
Absolutely.
Thanks. All right. Coming up next, we'll go inside another major investment by Rolls-Royce. Well, Rolls-Royce on a mission to modernize its engine test facilities in Indiana. Major projects at 2 Indiana facilities have been announced that will take 5 years to complete, with an investment of some $400 million, and include a new facility to test the modern gas turbine engines that are manufactured here in Indianapolis, and also high-altitude hybrid electrical and hypersonics testing in West Lafayette. With more on the projects, the commitment, and the impact in Indiana, pleased to be joined by the head of assembly and test for the U.S. at Rolls-Royce Defense, Warren White. Warren, always great to have you on the show.
Very pleasure to be here to talk about Rolls-Royce and the investments we're making in Indiana, and it's a great place to do business here.
Yeah, huge investment several years ago, $600 million, really a total remake of operations in the southwest side here. You're in part of that new space. What do we see behind you? Because there's a lot going on back there.
Yeah, I'm actually in one of our near west side facilities here that we have modernized. What's behind me over my right shoulder here is a lift fan system. It goes in the F-35B Lightning, and it produces about 20,000 pounds of thrust and vertically takes that aircraft off of a carrier deck or off of the ground and gets it moving to defend us. Yeah, the amazing innovation and technology going on right here in Indianapolis. Well, let's, Warren, talk about that, because that project, $600 million really remake of the Rolls-Royce facilities, really set the stage for these additional investments that now are happening here in Indiana. Yeah, it sure did, Gary. So again, you know, when you modernize with manufacturing assembly, which we've done and been grateful to do here with the great workforce we have here, both engineering, our UNW teams here in Indianapolis, we attract new things like last fall's B-52 announcement, which we're delighted to be able to make that iconic aircraft engine here in Indianapolis. And with things like that and the Army program we're working on now and other opportunities in front of us, that $400 million for testing is a necessary and a really innovative piece that Rolls-Royce is doubling down on here in Indiana to do research, development, and testing for our production engines as well. Yeah, there's a big B-52 right there we're showing on the screen. Hey, talk about this latest announcement. $400 million will be essentially split, $200 million or so here in Indianapolis, $200 million up in West Lafayette. What's going to happen here, be happening here with the project in Indianapolis? Yeah, in Indianapolis specifically, the $200 million we're investing is in our modern gas turbine technology. It's for production and development of full engines here in the city. That adds upon what we do in our manufacturing and assembly areas here. And we're really looking forward to that investment here. It modernizes, it takes our efficiencies and improves them, and it sets us up for a net zero journey, which we're on as a company to lower our emissions, but also lower our energy consumption here as we make modern gas turbine engines.
Okay, let's talk about the investment, similar investment in West Lafayette. The Purdue aerospace development up there is really taking shape. Rolls-Royce has had a long relationship with Purdue. This is big for West Lafayette and that region as well.
Yeah, we're happy to work with the Duke County folks up there in the West Lafayette, the mayor and their office, but doubling down really with research and development in high volumes with Purdue. We've had decades-long relationship, as you alluded to there, and we're happy to continue that trend as we hire a lot of Purdue engineers here and really get a lot of innovation out of that campus. And so it's a fantastic area on the aerospace district there.
Well, you mentioned talent and Purdue, but talent in general. What do investments, massive investments like this mean, in your view, for Rolls-Royce, but also more broadly for Indiana when it comes to what's next in terms of innovation and technology and keeping, but also attracting talent to the state?
Yeah, the governor's been very clear about his mission to, triple aerospace in Indiana. And we're proud to be a big part of that mission of his. We are attracting talent, innovation, and technology here in ways like hybrid electric, in ways like hypersonics that you mentioned earlier, and things we're doing with Purdue. And frankly, the modernization of sustainable aviation and the fuels and the things that we're working on here in our new platforms and the ones we have today going in production. So, that kind of investment spurs the talent, and, it's a great place to do business here in Indiana.
Warren White from Rolls-Royce, amazing projects, massive investment with big impact here in Indiana. Warren, as always, thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Gary. Talk to you guys soon.
All right. Well, I had in our next half hour just what the doctor ordered. Healthcare on wheels, delivering much needed services to Indiana's rural and urban communities. And help wanted, plumbers, roofers, carpenters, and really just about all of the other trades in Indiana. We'll have details on a new program in Vigo County designed to fuel the state's skilled workforce pipeline. Well, Hoosiers living in rural parts of the state face a shortage of healthcare providers. So one Indianapolis nonprofit is putting the clinic on wheels and bringing the doctor's office to them. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has more. Kylie.
Thank you, Gary. HealthNet has focused on providing health care in inner city Indianapolis since it was founded some 50 years ago. But the nonprofit is now extending its service to rural areas by launching a mobile health unit, basically a souped-up RV that will be rolling into Morgan and Monroe counties. It's funded by a $2 million grant from the United Health Foundation. And joining me now from inside the mobile health unit is Carrie Bonzak. She is Chief Business Development Officer for HealthNet. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I know you're live in the unit making its TV debut, so thanks for being creative with us today. Before we talk about the unit, let's start with HealthNet. Just give us a snapshot for people who maybe haven't heard of it.
Yeah, so HealthNet is a federally qualified health center. We're a network of 9 community health centers providing compassionate healthcare services to the medically underserved in Indianapolis and Bloomington for the past 54 years. We provide medical care for adults and children, OBGYN care, dental care, behavioral health care, and chiropractic care. We also have a homeless program, a school-based program, and a healthy families program. And many of our services are located under one roof, utilizing the patient center medical home model. We also are accredited by the Joint Commission and have been since 1980.
And I know we talked in the intro that since your founding, you've really focused on Indianapolis, inside the 465 loop even. Now you're extending to rural areas. Why did you feel that need to really reach the rural parts of Indiana?
Yeah, so we really wanted to expand to rural areas because in 2019, our CEO, Rick Diaz, set forth a vision called the 3 Pillars of Success for HealthNet. And one of those pillars is focused on how to better serve patients and community. And so we formed the Mobile Health Initiative at that time. And once the Mobile Health initiative was formed, we wanted to determine where we would really improve the most lives with our mobile healthcare units. So what we did is we reviewed a bunch of needs assessment data in the surrounding counties. And so we already had a health center in Bloomington. We knew that patients had a lack of access to primary care services, and at times it would take 6 months to get into a patient appointment. And so also looking at the county, the national benchmarks for preventative healthcare screenings and rates of depression, and also for overdoses, they really exceeded state and national levels. Additionally, Morgan County, we found, had a lack of access to primary care and mental health care, and that they were also fell short on receiving immunizations and preventative care. The health outcomes were worse, again, for state averages, particularly for diabetes, cancer incidence, and heart disease. And our goal is really to increase access to care and improve health outcomes. We also want to reduce emergency room visits and address social determinants to really further improve health outcomes by bringing our healthcare services with the mobile units to those in need in these rural areas.
Okay, we just saw some great video of the mobile unit. Tell us just a little bit about it. Just give us a brief introduction to what it can do.
So the mobile unit, glad you just saw some pictures of it, but we have 2 exam rooms in it, a laboratory, and an intake area. And so what we're going to do is bring the mobile unit on the road Mondays through Thursday, 2 days a week in Morgan County and 2 days a week in Monroe County. And then Fridays through Sunday, we'll have the mobile unit traveling around Marion County offering free health screenings. On the mobile unit, as you can see behind me, it looks just like a doctor's office. So everything you can have in a doctor's office, we have on the mobile unit. So we'll be providing medical care for adults and children on the unit, treatment for acute and chronic conditions, laboratory care, health screenings, health education, enrollment services to insurance, and then also behavioral health telemedicine services.
All right, that's such a big boost coming to Monroe and Morgan County. Sorry we're out of time, Carrie, but thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Gerry, back to you.
An eye-opener on Indiana's workforce front. More than 30,000 construction trade jobs will need to be filled in the state over the next 2 years.
It's time now for Eye on Education. Well, a continuing challenge in Indiana and across the country, how to get more people interested in careers in construction. Jobs like bricklaying, carpentry, plumbing continue to be in very high demand. So to tackle the problem, the Tippecanoe Building Trades Council is once again sponsoring an apprenticeship expo this summer. Trades Council President Stephen Snyder joins us now from the Carpenters Local 215 Apprenticeship Class and Training Center in Lafayette. Stephen, as always, welcome to the show.
Good seeing you again, Gerry, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I know. You're at a busy place. Again, Local 215 of the Carpenters Training Center there. What's going on in back of you there?
Yeah. Well, it's another day at the Local 215. They're having their apprenticeship class right now. We have got the third-year apprentices in the back. They're working on building layout with BIM systems and total stations, which is all computer-controlled technology.
All right, really tee this up for us, if you would. We hear about every day the workforce challenges across all industries, but as you look at the trades, the building trades, how significant, how serious is the worker shortage?
You know, we've been doing this for a long time, actively recruiting, and we've seen this cliff coming with respect to an available workforce for the 21st century. Enter COVID, which obviously happened a couple years ago. And it's really accelerated the problem that we have in front of us, which is a skilled, trained workforce to build the factories, to pour the concrete, to build the walls, the hospitals, et cetera, et cetera. We're at a critical point right now in our history across the country with being able to have that workforce. So we really got to double our efforts in getting that accomplished.
And part of that, I know, is this Building Trades Expo. This will be the third year for it in Tippecanoe County, a year off for COVID. But what are you trying to get across here? Is it an educational piece to inform the public, both young people or workers in general, parents, everyone?
Yeah, anybody that's wanting to listen for different career opportunities. We've really worked hard in our school systems throughout our 9-county region, developing relationships with CTE directors, superintendents, principals, and teachers to really give them the education with what's out there with the skilled trade apprenticeship programs. It's really an awesome system that's available for anybody to go through a bona fide apprenticeship program that's 100% paid for. You can learn a craft, a trade, be an expert in that field, and really make some good money. And really, as far as the compensation is concerned, that's only going to skyrocket as we move forward. Because every project, as everybody knows, starts with a shovel and some dirt being moved.
Yeah. Give us an idea, Stephen, if you will, because you mentioned salaries, and you know, these are jobs that pay good wages. So these are careers that folks, if they're trained, can really launch into what can be a substantial career.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go through a 5-year bona fide apprenticeship program. I'm a pipe fitter by trade myself. I went through a program several years ago, graduated after going for 5 years, worked and learned why I earned money. And we make up the Northwood of $100,000 a year and then some. And you graduate with zero college debt, a massive amount of industry recognized skills that's in high demand. So it really is one of the best things, best kept secret. We've always said that we have going. So we just need to get in front of teachers, educators, students to let them know that there's an option to really, really have a successful career.
Tippecanoe Building Trades Council really doubling down with the Apprenticeship Expo coming up in June through July. Stephen Snyder, the president of the Building Trades Council there. Thanks for joining us, Stephen. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the Expo and going forward. All right.
Thank you, Gary. Good seeing you.
All right. Well, the latest reading of the Purdue University CME Group Ag Economy Barometer shows farmers not really feeling optimistic about the economy due to the higher cost to plant spring crops. Also, the uncertainty surrounding the war in Ukraine. The monthly measurement of producer sentiment fell 12 points last month to a reading of 113. That's the weakest reading in nearly 2 years. The Purdue Center for Commercial Agriculture, which conducts the survey, says farmers remain concerned about rising input costs, availability as well, just as planting season gets underway. Purdue says the war in Ukraine really exacerbated farmers' worries about production costs. Laser tag, escape rooms, virtual reality experiences, all part of Mooresville-based Creative Works portfolio. More on where the company is moving and investing and why it's expanding. And the IBJ Life Sciences Power Panel right around the corner, Friday, April 29 at the Westin in downtown Indianapolis. It's a chance to engage with a panel of experts as they talk about promising science, technology, talent in Central Indiana's life sciences sector. You can go to ibj.com/events to register. Well, in the market to check out a top-notch laser tag arena, or maybe a virtual reality experience with esports. Look no further than Mooresville-based Creative Works, a company marking 25 years in the immersive amusement experience industry. And the company is on the move, planning to invest more than $7 million to relocate from Morgan County to the southwest side of Indianapolis. Creative Works President Armando Lanuti joins me now with more. Armando, thanks for joining us from Mooresville.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is a fascinating story to me. Been in the biz around 25 years, but this all started because you're into all kinds of things now, technology-wise. Yeah. How did it start? Laser tag, as I understand it.
Yeah, we got our start in laser tag back in 1997, and you know, as we went on from there, we started to add things like mini golf, escape rooms, virtual reality, esports. All sorts of fun things, like anything that just, you know, creates a fun environment. That's our job, right, is to make things fun and create memories for people.
Well, talk about what you do there in Mooresville. I mentioned you're going to be moving to the southwest side of Indianapolis, but this is some pretty high-tech stuff that you're doing. You've got designers and engineers and creating things for properties all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, we have a group that just got back from both Ireland and the Netherlands, installing attractions over there. As you said, we work worldwide. A lot of our work is obviously here in the States, but we have the designers, the engineers, we have fabricators, so carpenters, painters, sculptors, just a wide array of talented, just amazing artists.
Give me an idea of some of your clients, your customers. I mentioned, I think, cruise ships. You cater to a lot of different venues.
Yeah, we work with a lot of entertainment centers, so bowling alleys, skating centers, trampoline parks, here in town, Royal Pin is a client of ours, 32 Fun on the north side, Urban Air, Adventure Parks, all the way up to cruise ships. We played a small part in the Peyton Manning statue, outside of Lucas Oil Stadium. So we've done a lot of stuff, and just very fortunate to be in the business that we're in, for sure.
Well, you're on the move, going to move to the southwest side of Indianapolis, $7 million plus investment, adding more than 100 jobs. So what's driving business in your view?
Well, our industry was always, fun. We were growing, prior to the pandemic. Pandemic obviously shut things down for our industry, right? You couldn't go out and socialize, but what we found and what all of our clients have found is as they've come back, people wanted to get out and celebrate again. They wanted to escape. Human nature didn't change. And people, I think, just put a higher value on that leisure time because it was taken away from them. And business has just come back strong. I think we'll more than double over the next 2 to 3 years. So very, very excited about that.
Creative Works in Mooresville, moving to Indianapolis with a big investment and jobs. Armando Lanuti, the president of the company. Really appreciate you joining us and look forward to talking to you soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, the Indiana Department of Transportation is once again teaming up with Purdue University, the latest project to develop concrete pavement that allows drivers to wirelessly charge their electric vehicles while they're driving. The project involves magnetizable concrete developed by German startup Magment. The project part of the Advancing Sustainability Through Power Infrastructure for Road Electrification, or ASPIRE initiative. Once all 3 testing phases are complete, INDOT says it will use the technology to electrify a yet-to-be-determined segment of interstate in Indiana. Well, a big reconstruction project coming to a major intersection in Hamilton County and a hot political race in Indianapolis. Just 2 of the stories editor Leslie Weidenbender and our partners at the IBJ are working on this week. Leslie, welcome.
Thank you, Gary.
Hey, a big project, Hamilton County, no stranger to major road projects. And there's another big one coming up there around 146th and Allisonville Road.
146th Street is one of the only roads that goes all the way east and west through Hamilton County. So it's a big deal when there's construction on that. And this construction is probably going to start in the next year or so. Big changes there. You're going to have 146th Street as an overpass over Allisonville. And then there'll be a roundabout on Allisonville with exits on and off.
Wow, big project indeed. As they say, it'll be good once it's finished, I guess.
Exactly.
Also, workforce, as you know, is such a huge issue here in Indiana. And I know you've got a sit-down interview with Department of Workforce Development Commissioner Fred Payne this week.
It was only a couple of years ago that we were so worried about the unemployment rate because of the pandemic. Now the unemployment rate is at 2.3%. And so our reporter Emily Ketterer talks to Commissioner Payne about what the state needs to do to try to get some folks back into the workforce so that Indiana can try to fill jobs. Otherwise, it's just going to have trouble growing.
A lot of change in the winds in the political arena here in Indiana, including right here in Indianapolis. I know you've got a story this week, a new state Senate seat, a new district here in Indianapolis. Is getting pretty crowded when it comes to the Democrat side in this upcoming primary.
Yeah, this is a brand new district. It, as part of redistricting and population shifts, it's a district to Marion County. This district actually goes across the southern part of downtown, almost down to 465. It's a huge swath of area, and there are 5 Democrats running in the primary. This is a Democratic-leaning district, so the primary is really the important race here.
As always, lots of good stuff coming up in this weekend's IBJ. Leslie Weidenbender coming to us from the IBJ newsroom. As always, I appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, Gary.
All right. Well, shovels hit the ground this week at the old GM stamping plant in Indianapolis. Elanco in the week ahead building its new global headquarters there. Big project. Our insiders will be here with insight on the impact in Indy and statewide. Plus, we'll get their take on the other big stories making news this week when we return. Well, a major transformation begins in the week ahead on the near west side of Indianapolis. Elanco Animal Health breaking ground on its new $100 million global headquarters on the site of the former GM stamping plant. For more on that and some of the other big business headlines this week, pleased to be joined by Hollowell Consulting President Jennifer Hollowell. Also, IndyPolitics.org publisher Abdul Hakim Shabazz. And 16 Tech Chief Financial Officer Robert Herzog. And welcome one and all to the Insiders in studio for a change, you know.
Yes. Always good to be here, not social distance.
That's right. I know, we're nice and close. So glad to have you all here. Let's start out with big developments. And this is a big development, I think, for a number of reasons for downtown Indianapolis and beyond. But Elanco breaking ground on that massive plan they have for a global headquarters, former GM stamping plant site. A campus really takes downtown across the White River for the first time, really. Jennifer, how, in your view, how significant is significant for the company, but how about for Indianapolis and the area?
I don't think you can overstate how important it is. You know, it's been such a challenging area to redevelop, and then to have Elanco coming in, you know, such a premier company really with more than 1,000 jobs. I think the average salary is around $150,000 a year. So incredible investment and, you know, kind of growing. We obviously have a big life sciences community growing, biosciences, animal health really I think fits in well and is going to attract a lot of talent also to the city and state, which is really important and is, I think, going to transform that area.
Yeah, how about you talk about talent? So Elanco certainly hopes it'll attract talent to Elanco, but I think Jeff Simmons has talked about it generally attracting talent to Indianapolis to go other places too.
That's right, and that's what we've seen with the tech community as well. You know, if you have to have a hub and places that people want to go, and then potentially they end up at another company that's nearby, but knowing that you have these big anchors that are so important does attract people from across the country, and we need that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you think about it, how Indianapolis and Central Indiana has changed, say 30, 40 years ago was all sort of manufacturing, sort of like, you know, pulling a lever, and now it's like, you know, high tech, high industry, the whole 9 yards. And also, I agree with Jen wholeheartedly with that whole sort of near west side of Indianapolis, you know, going down the White River, you know, where the Indians Park is, literally right across the street from the studio.
Yeah.
Here, there's a lot of construction going on as well. So Indianapolis is moving in the right direction. We just got to keep it going that way.
Well, how about you talk about Indianapolis moving downtown? There's going to be a bridge, I think a pedestrian bridge as well as vehicles. That really connects downtown across the White River for the first time. So as you look out 5, 10 years and beyond, it'll really transform things over there.
Finally, I can walk from one end of downtown to the other end of downtown. Now, it's just a little bridge or something, not get my hair messed up.
Right. Good. Another big project, certainly for West Central Indiana, Terre Haute is not breaking ground, they're actually opening this weekend a new $25 million convention center. It's been in the works really since 2014 in terms of conversations back and forth. Somewhat controversial on whether Terre Haute wanted a convention center. It's ready to open now. Robert, as you look at this, I know Mayor Duke Bennett was on the show at the beginning of this broadcast, and he really feels strongly this can attract people, can attract additional investment and dollars to the community.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good bet for Terre Haute. The downtown needs this kind of attraction, and based on the size and the scope of what the investment is, it makes a lot of sense. The timing of it with the casino that's been approved, that's going to be breaking ground shortly. You know, it seems like it's a can't miss for Terre Haute, and anything that can attract more people to that central business district with everything else that's going on in Terre Haute, I think is positive for them.
Yeah, so many communities are trying to find their niche or find their way with things like this. Terre Haute certainly is making a bet. This is what's going to happen. But they've got, convention-wise, they got to sell it, right?
Yes.
And they got to say, hey, come to Terre Haute and get people and get the events there.
Back to the people conversation, right? It's finding those, you know, those talent within that convention space to be able to bring them in to know which size conventions can tap into and bring to Terre Haute, because they're not going to be competing on the same level for conventions with downtown Indianapolis.
Right.
But there's still a lot of conventions in that world that can actually fit into a space that would work well with what Terre Haute's bringing online.
And I think that's going to be a major challenge for Terre Haute too, because like I said, they got the casino that they're building, they got the convention center, but the question is what type of acts you're going to get to the convention center, what type of conventions are you going to get to the convention center, and who wants to go all the way to sort of Western Indiana when you have Indianapolis here. So I think they got potential, but they also got lots of challenges at the same time.
I think we just have to give a lot of credit to the business and community and education leaders in Terre Haute and that region. I mean, it's a community that has had some challenges and has seen some population decline, not unlike a lot of other places kind of similarly situated. And over the last few years, we have really seen them rally to kind of take hold to build their future. And you've seen investments, not just those, and you've got obviously a great higher education institution, Indiana State, that also has seen investments and upgrades. And I just think that it's the people that are driving this, and they're going to help make this successful.
Yep. Good to see action there, no doubt about it. Other big investment here in the past couple of weeks from traditional companies. Allison Transmission opening a really a high-tech training and innovation center. Rolls-Royce announcing a $400 million investment, which will be split between Indianapolis and West Lafayette. So, Robert, as you look at the traditional manufacturing, and of course this is high-tech, advanced manufacturing, but the importance of these long-time companies that have been here that are now really investing in a big way back into Indy.
That's what I like about it, is keeping them here and also investing in those jobs that are the new jobs of the next century to come, right? And I think, especially for Allison, it's a really important investment for everybody that in Central Indiana to make sure that they're keeping a good hub, between those two cities works well for everybody. Yeah, and as you look, Abdul, at what Mitch Daniels at Purdue is doing with the Aerospace District and all this additional development that beyond education, although it's connected to education with students, but they're getting with Rolls-Royce, I think $200 million of that's going up to West Lafayette, and Purdue. Saab is opening up a big production facility up there, so there's a lot of action up there too.
Exactly. If you look at it, like I said, I think the challenge is, and this is really good news for the state of Indiana, but I think the challenge is making sure we have the workforce that's there to take these high-tech, high-wage jobs, because that's going to be our challenge now, is make sure our workforce is good to go, because you don't necessarily need some sort of post-secondary something these days, which the Higher Education Commission and colleges and universities across Indiana have been pushing for, but you really need to have that workforce that's there to take these jobs. Like I said, Elanco, Rolls-Royce, you name it. Yeah,
Robert, you've got an education background, so I just thought of this, but what's the state, in your view, of education when it comes to economic development? Because, a lot was made when Intel chose Ohio for that massive multi-billion-dollar investment, and saying that the education piece here was one of the negatives. It's
still the case, right? And you've heard, we all know Teresa Lovers at the Commission on Higher Ed, which just retired, and we've got a great new commissioner coming in, are constantly trying to figure out how we can get more students through that bachelor degree attainment level, right? And Indiana's still low on that. So there's enough people who care significantly about this that we're still trying to push that up and then basically driving the median income, but we're still not where we need to be, but there's enough of the right people focusing on it, back to your point, that are going to basically be what drives this going forward, because it is important. Yeah. It does long term for companies who are trying to basically look at, hey, where can we relocate? Those educational attainment levels really do mean something.
Yeah, interesting story. I think out of the legislature, a bill providing incentives essentially for media production, film, movies, digital production. It's been talked about for many, many years, never made it through. It did this year. Jennifer, in your view, is this something that's going to benefit the state of Indiana?
I think absolutely. And this is an idea that has faced headwinds for a long time. And so the fact they got it across the finish line this year, I think, is significant. I actually had spoken a couple of months ago with a couple of individuals who are from Indiana, who went to our universities, who do this kind of work, and they're in the kind of 3D, kind of tech media production. And they said, we had to move. We've got the skills in there. And they said, you'd be surprised at how many people in Indiana are trained to do this stuff, but they can't get the jobs because the attractions are in other places, because a lot of other states have these tax credits and incentives, and we don't. So now we do, and I think that opens a lot of new doors for us.
It's massive business now. Content is king on, with Netflix on down all the way through the entertainment space. And, Indiana's been a little bit behind in this, but this tax credit is really important to be able to compete with states like Georgia, where this is just a massive business on the northwest side.
So now I can record out my 8x10 glossies for all the content that we produce now. We've got these tax credits. So
I think that's why they got that bill through, Abdul. Yes. Very good. Go. Abdul Hakim Shabazz, thanks very much. Jennifer Hollowell and Robert Herzog, thank you all for joining us on the Insiders in Studio. We'll be right back after this.
A four-time win on the line for Elio Castro.
Well, lots of action at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last week. Elio Castroneves making an appearance on West 16th, hanging a banner. May just around the corner, and we can't wait. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gerry Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.